life. So if you can really work on that, and a big part of that is not being afraid to take risks and not being afraid to fail. I think that's really key, is creating as many opportunities as you can to just fail as often as you can.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Hey, and when something does go wrong, if you do fail, instead of going, get down on yourself and think that you failed, instantly think, what can I take from that failure? Because there's always a learning from every single mistake or failure you make in life. G'day legends, it's Chris here from juicedupgroms.com. Welcome to Grom Chats, where we're going to talk all things kids' health. Since starting Juiced Up Groms, I've become so much more aware of our kids' health, physically, mentally and spiritually, and I see a huge need for big change in the future. On this channel, I'll be interviewing people from all walks of life to unravel from many perspectives the common trends in the next generation, all the positives, the negatives, and what we can do to make a difference to reverse the ever-growing and rapidly increasing obesity and disease rate throughout the entire population, but especially with children. With information from many professionals in various fields, we're going to create a platform for families, parents and teachers to discover simple strategies that they can implement immediately to better the health and well-being of the entire family. Together, we can create a happier, healthier future and live life juiced up. G'day legends, welcome to Grom Chats. I'm here with a very special guest today, Keely Roberts. She's a holistic athlete coach. I've been following Keely for the last couple of years and she's just been an inspiration for myself and she's just a wealth of knowledge. So I thought it'd be awesome to come on here and have a chat so she can share her knowledge with you guys and hopefully give you some awesome strategies to, if you're looking to be an athlete, some awesome strategies to pursue that journey. So welcome Keely.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks for coming.
Having me.
Yeah, I'm stoked to have you here.
Yeah.
For the second time, round two. But
second time lucky.
We'll get it right this time.
That's
no
it.
technical difficulties. So, Keely, I'll start off with you telling us about yourself and where you've come from an athlete to where you are now.
Yeah.
From a young age all the way to now would be awesome.
Sure. The life story.
The life story, yeah.
So I grew up in small town of Nanango and there's really only two things you can do there as a kid. You can either play sport or you can go to the skate park, and I'm horrible at skating. So I played sport and I did swimming and dancing and triathlon, touch football, netball, you name it, all the sports.
Just an athlete.
Yeah, so that kept me really busy for primary school. And then when I got into high school, I actually had a teacher who had come from kind of up north and she was a triathlete. So that was my first little taster of triathlon. And I really fell in love with it and how tough it was, but the feeling you get at the end of a race when it's like just fulfillment. No matter how you did, like when you finish a try, it's just the best feeling because
it's such a challenge.
It's such a challenge mentally and physically. So I really fell in love with that, and obviously having a swimming background, that was really cool. Just a little bit different as well. So not just swimming up and down a black line, but get a bit over that after a while.
Bit of variety.
Definitely. So that was really cool, and I got into that for high school, and in my final year I finally cracked Queensland team. So went away with my first squad and came 10th in Australia. So that was my little
that's amazing.
end of my triathlon.
That's sweet. How old were you when you got to that
That
stage?
was 16.
16. So how many years of training / competing?
So try would have been 5 years.
Okay.
Like competing.
Yeah.
And then obviously I swam from about 5 years old.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So always just physically active.
Yeah, definitely. It's really important. So, and then I guess I had a bit of a personality where I was a perfectionist. So not only did I do a lot of sport, but I really wanted to do well in school, and also I played 3 instruments, and I wouldn't say I was really good at any of those things because I did a lot of stuff, but a jack of all trades, a Jill of all trades.
Yeah, nice.
That kept me really busy, but the problem with that, and I guess having heaps of commitments and then the personality type that I am, I was just putting so much energy into all of those things, and I didn't really understand how to look after like my mental health or my spiritual health and just take time out to play and have fun. So when I got to the end of high school, I actually developed chronic fatigue syndrome.
Yeah, right.
So I had to sleep for 20 hours a day and was a bit of a sloth, couldn't really operate properly. So that was
big
change from all of those things to basically being able to do nothing.
Yeah, right. Was that scary at the time?
Yeah, it was probably more just like I didn't really feel anything, to be honest. I was too tired to feel stuff. So, but it was scary, I guess, for my parents because they didn't really know what was going on with me. So we got heaps of tests done at doctors because, you know, it's a bit strange if you're this fit person who's then having to sleep so much and stopping all their sport. And really the answer that came back was that I just was really overtired.
She's just really tired. She needs a
really
rest.
Really tired, just needs a rest. And that's literally what they said. The cure was have a rest.
Yeah, right.
Which is really hard to hear for someone who is go all the time. And also when you're resting, you obviously can't train. So then you're not going to get better at your sport. So it was a big mental challenge as well, really having to force myself to stop. But it's, I guess, led me to this point and where I am today.
Yeah,
so
exactly. You learn something from every situation. So
yeah, definitely.
What would be the two best things you learned from being an athlete and then from being, you know, chronically fatigued and not being able to do anything? Like I'm sure you would have learned some massive life lessons in both those areas. So
yeah, 100%. So I know I was talking about this last time we spoke, but with triathlon, I was on track to be making the next kind of level for a few years. So when I was 14, my chain on my bike actually fell off. So during the race, and normally my dad fixes the bikes. I just rode the thing. He did all the mechanical stuff. He liked doing that. So that was okay. That was his thing. And he used to race mountain bikes, so he's loves bikes. They called him Marky the Bikey. So
I wish I had known
I
that
wish
when I
you knew this. Loves bikes. So I got into that race and I was just pushing my bike out of transition, ready to get on it, and the chain came off, and you obviously can't ride your bike without a chain. So I was there and I was looking for Dad, and he was there and he tried to help, but the officials, no interference, she has to fix it. So you could imagine I'm flustered and crying and just swam 750 metres, so I'm a bit tired, and then Dad's there coaching me how to put this chain on, but I could just see all these people just going past me that I had obviously beaten out of the water. Yeah. So I guess the biggest learning from that is your attitude plays such an important part in your performance, and I could have really just thrown the towel in right there and then and got
I'm done.
I'm coming last right now, and it's not my fault, it's out of my control. But I think sport, but especially individual sport, is something that really builds up your resilience, and you just have to say, oh well, it's happened, so get back on the bike and keep going, literally. So
with the chain.
with a working bike. So that was kind of one big learning curve for me. Didn't quite make the Queensland team, but I only fell too short. So I only missed out from 2 places. So even though I was disappointed, and you think about, oh, what if that didn't happen? It was probably a really good testament to say, well, actually, you still put in the effort. Your attitude stayed high, you really gave it a good shot, and you're resilient. So there's big learnings in that. And then the next year after that, I actually got penalised for being too close to someone on the bike. So you can't actually, you have to have a certain distance. You're supposed to be able to fit a big Land Cruiser or something between you and the next person.
Yeah, right.
And I remember riding, and then see the man on the motorbike hold the red card. So that means when you go back in, you have to spend 2 minutes in a penalty box. Yeah, so the same sort of thing, red carded. So not just in soccer. Yeah. So you sit in there, and then you see all these people just going past you, and it's just very heartbreaking. And then, but again, you have to just pick yourself back up again and just say, I remember going onto the run and thinking, I'm just going to catch the person in front of me. And then when I caught them, try and catch the next person and the next person. And again, I think, I only missed out by a few places that year as well. But looking back, they were all probably really big life lessons because you're going to get knocked down, not just in sport, but there's always curveballs coming at you. So it's just more about how you handle them.
Yeah, that's right.
So they're really big learnings from that. And then with the chronic fatigue, the biggest one was looking after my whole self, that I'm not just a machine, not just a physical body, and there's so much more different parts to me and to everyone that we have to look after, especially our mental health. Like what's going on up here really affects how we perform and how we show up.
Yeah, 100%. If we're not doing the mind, body, soul, all connection, it's going to eventually break down. So that's good points there. Don't give up, kids. You can always come back through the challenges.
Definitely.
Even if you're behind, just keep, catch that next person, catch that next person.
Yes.
Do your best. And I think that's really cool that you with those challenges, all those, slip ups in the races, you manage to just be like, nah, it's still in your head, you're going to try your best. And, if that hadn't happened, you probably would have, either won the event or come very close. So, like, that's a really positive, takeaway from that, knowing that with those hiccups that you can still make such good progress. So
definitely. I think it's very much about, like, it would have been more disappointing if I hadn't finished or if I hadn't actually tried my best, because like there's always going to be things that get in your way. It's just I guess it's either you win some or you learn some. Really.
That's exactly right. I love that. And it goes hand in hand, exactly like you said, with life. So we have to always be ready for things to not go our way, so then we can just pick ourselves back and keep going in whatever direction it may be. So definitely love that takeaway. It's perfect, especially when it comes to life and sport. So and then after you had chronic fatigue, what was the next step after that? You've overcome that. How did you sort of come out of that? What was the biggest thing that sort of helped you in that respect?
So I guess being from the small town, we only had a doctor. We didn't really know about nutrition or mindset or spiritual health, anything like that. There was no sort of natural health stuff in the country. Right. Still really not.
Not out in the bush.
Out in the bush, no. It's bush medicine. So a teaspoon of cement, no. That's it. Which isn't a bad thing, but then obviously not very sustainable. So the biggest kind of turning point for me was I went and saw a naturopath. So that was my first...
Was that the Big Smoke?
Yes, it was in Brisbane.
Big drive.
Big drive in Brizzy. And I went to her and she was the first person that actually made me feel like I could get better. So before that it was like, if you don't rest, you won't get better. But then no one was telling me how long I had to rest for, like what type of rest I had to do. It was like, is it sleeping rest? Is it movie rest? I don't know. So it was actually the first time where she really looked at all little parts of my life and what I was eating, to who I was spending my time with, to if I was actually doing things that I found enjoyable and that were serving my purpose and what I wanted to do with my life. So she really just unpacked all different areas of my health and my life, and then as a result of that, my energy and my performance got better. So I guess she flicked the switch of, yes, I can do this. Like I was back to that kind of feeling. But also too, she really helped build up my layers again. So I could build my foundations, and then finally got back into sport after about 2 years of not being able to play or compete. So that was like...
It's a long haul.
It was so long. And obviously I had lost a lot of fitness and a lot of skill for having such a long time off. And then I ended up switching sports and went over to touch football for a little bit of a different challenge. Nice. So, and that's what I've stayed with since
Excellent.
then.
Is that much more enjoyable?
I've actually been thinking about getting back into triathlon.
Yeah, right. Nice.
So I think both are enjoyable in their own respects. Like touch football is obviously a lot more social because it's a team sport, and triathlon, you get that feeling at the end of
massive challenge, more result.
And you did that all by yourself without kind of anyone else.
So you've played sport pretty much all your whole life. Do you how important do you think it is as a young child growing up to be involved with sport, whether it is a solo sport or a team sport? how crucial is that to our growing up and how we become adults?
Yeah, I would just say that if I could enforce it as a law, I would.
Sweet.
Like, everyone should play sport, and it doesn't have to be competitive sport, or it just has to be moving your body, but also challenging yourself. I think that's the key thing, which you do get from organised sport, but you can get it from, like, your program definitely does that, and there's like ways that you can challenge yourself without it being competing against someone else, because sometimes kids don't really like that whole idea of sport, and that's fine, but you should always be trying to improve yourself and stretch your limits and get outside your comfort zone, because that is the only way that you actually, one, get prepared for life and the curveballs, but two, get better as a person and get healthier and stronger and boost your performance.
Outside the comfort zone is the growth zone, always. Hey?
I like that.
So I think that's awesome. And like kids, if you do want to play sport, you know, there's not just one sport out there, so just try them all. You know, like, we will find what we love and what really fills our cup. So don't be afraid to try lots of sports, and, you know, find the one that really, you know, fills your cup and gives you most enjoyment. So a variety is always good, because that way you're experiencing new things all the time. So you're stimulating your mind, your body, and you're becoming such an awesome all-round human. So
yeah, definitely. And like, lots of the elite athletes, they didn't play that sport as a kid. They played like lots of rugby league. I'm a big rugby league fan, so lots of rugby league, like NRL players, they played soccer and AFL and rugby union and athletics. They do so many different things, and it's because it makes you a better athlete in the long run, because you have all of these skills behind you and your core is really strong. Yeah,
for sure. You're learning something from each sport or each coach. Like, you're interacting with so many different people. Like, I think that's really cool. And like, when it comes to coaching, like, what's the best thing when it comes to having a coach? Like, how can you best encourage kids to, you know, be a part of the team and, you know, progress in that sport? Like, you've had a bit of experience working with athletes individually, so...
Yeah, so do you mean how can they, like, do their best in that team, or...?
Yeah, like, as a coach, like, if you have an athlete and you want to keep encouraging them to, you know, pursue that sport, like, what would be the most important thing for you to sort of encourage them to continue on with that sport and try and, you know, better themselves in their field?
Keep asking questions to your coach. Keep watching other players. If you see someone who you go, they're really good at what they do, like, watch them. What are they doing that's a bit different? So that's kind of how you could improve your game, but also really start looking after, and I know I say this a lot, but all parts of your performance. So yes, you can get fitter. Yes, you can build up your skills. Yes, you can get better at making decisions in your sport, and that's definitely through coaching. But you also need to develop your mindset, learn how to cope with nerves, learn how to cope with losing, learn how to overcome challenges, because sport is really unpredictable, but so is life. So if you can really work on that, and a big part of that is not being afraid to take risks and not being afraid to fail. I think that's really key, is creating as many opportunities as you can to just fail as often as you can.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Hey, and when something does go wrong, if you do fail, instead of going, get down on yourself and think that you failed, instantly think, what can I take from that failure? Because there's always a learning from every single mistake or failure you make in life, and hopefully we don't make the same mistake twice. That's why we get another chance. So
that's it.
Yeah, learn.
Definitely keep learning, and I think it sucks when you fail. Like, no one likes to lose, because the winner's always happy and the loser's always sad. But if you can shake it off and then think, all right, what can I do better next time, or what can I learn from this experience? You're going to be a much stronger athlete, but also just a better, well-rounded human being. So more prepared. Definitely the biggest, like, learnings and personal growth comes from your losses, not from your wins. They're just the bonus that you get as a result of all the hard work you do, all the losing you've done.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And you're a holistic health coach now. What sort of strategies are you using now with your athletes that you work with to help them, stay, connected with their mind, body and soul, and looking after themselves to the best of their ability? I know you've got some amazing stuff I always see on Instagram, so pretty
Yeah,
excited to hear about this.
for sure. So my biggest one at the moment, or the thing that we're working on at the moment, is self-love, which sounds really hippie and airy-fairy.
We love self-love.
Yeah, I love self-love.
Yeah,
So
that's
you have
great.
to love yourself. So that's really, and it's a little bit strange for some athletes, because I work with older athletes, so they're usually, doing like one sport or a couple of sports, but really well, and trying to get to that next level. So to hear them, or for me to say we're going to learn about self-love, is a little bit like,
Sorry, what?
yeah, like, so we're not doing training, or like, what's happening?
Yeah.
So that's kind of my focus at the moment. But for me, self-love is literally at the core of good performance. If you don't speak to yourself with love, or with confidence, or with belief, then your thoughts are going to turn into how you act and how you show up every day. And it's our actions, those things that we do daily, that give us the results. So if you're not happy with your results, you have to kind of work backwards and look at, well, how am I talking to myself? Am I actually fueling my body? And when I say fueling your body, obviously with food, but also with the people that you hang around, with the things that you're consuming, your social media, what you're listening to, what you're reading, your environment, all of those things are really influential on your results. So it's really about just going right back to basics, or if you imagine like your body, it's going like right down to your core, and obviously your heart is the core of your body, the center of your body. So self-love is, where it's at right now.
100%, yeah. I like what you said about all those, influence that can happen on your life. People you're hanging out with. Social media is a massive thing, especially for young kids now, like teenagers. I think there's just so much stuff on these screens that they're seeing that would be playing a huge part in their lives, and especially their mental health.
Definitely.
And then obviously you can get caught up in the wrong friends group, and you start doing the wrong things, and it's easy to get off track. But if you can check in with yourself and be true to yourself, I think that's always going to come out on top. But it's quite hard to actually stop and have those conversations with yourself. So, am I enjoying hanging out with these people? Is it benefiting my life? Should I be sitting on this screen for an hour every night? Like, I think those influences are just like, they're going to be always there, but if you can stop and check yourself, I think that's pretty amazing. So I love that that's your like main thing that you focus on, and self-love obviously is 100% important, because if you don't love yourself, everything else sort of flows out from that. So
definitely. Like, you could be the fittest person ever, but if you don't believe that you are the fittest person, or you don't believe that you've done the work, then you're not going to get the results. You might still achieve something, but it's not your best. And also you're not, I guess, open to that constant growth, because you're so scared of failing, and you're always in that sense of like protecting yourself.
In your head,
Yeah.
And conditioning can have a huge part in that as well. Like how you're brought up can also have effects on your mind, and how you behave in life. You might be a bit hesitant. It's hard to build that confidence up, and so I think teaching self-love to, especially at a young age. So I absolutely love that you do that with athletes, because that's just going to open up so many doors of opportunity in the future when it comes to life and whatever sport they're playing. So props to you. I love that. That's so good.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. And I was just thinking of the next question.
You're right. I can give you a strategy if you like.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll with your athletes that you use. Yeah,
or like how you can love your self-love or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, what can you do like on a daily basis that you would suggest to young kids and athletes? Yeah, cool. Yeah. All right, so when it comes to your athletes, from a young age all the way up to, say, young adults, like what would be an awesome strategy to start implementing like pretty much straight away on a daily basis that's just going to start building that self-love feeling so you can become an awesome human and athlete?
Love it. So a big focus for me at the moment is transitions. So obviously, being from a triathlon background, if anyone has done a triathlon before, your transitions are really important. So you obviously have your swim, your bike and your run, but the transitions, the time in between that, what you're doing in between that is really critical. If you're really slow in there or unorganised, then that's going to affect your next discipline. So I've been talking a lot about transitions in life, and as an athlete or as a kid, you have really big commitment. So you wake up, you get ready, you go to school, or you might even go training before you go to school. You get home, do some homework, maybe go play some sport again or go training, eat dinner, go to bed. And that's kind of the cycle. That's your day. But there's all these little times in between that day that are really important because they set you up for that next activity. So like I came from work before coming here to speak to you, and I could have just come straight here and probably still been half in the space of work and then trying to come half in the space of chatting with you. But I always try and put transitions in. So I pulled into the beach and got out of my car and just took 3 big breaths while I looked at the ocean. And that was like reset, reflect, awesome, moving on to the next thing now. So there's lots of different things that you can do, but I guess it does start with one, being aware of what makes you feel good and what you need, and then being able to actually honour that. I think we can get really busy and caught up in stuff, but if we can take the time to check in, even if you just sit with yourself for 3 big breaths and go, how do I feel right now? Oh, I feel hungry, so I need to go fuel my body. Or I feel a bit low in energy, so I'm going to get up and do 10 star jumps. Or I feel a bit nervous, so I'm going to take some longer breaths now. It's really simple, and it's just asking yourself, how do I feel? What do I need? And I think if we can do that a few times throughout the day, then you're just going to get to that end of the day feeling a lot better, a lot more balanced, and then that's going to be more sustainable. So you're not like me and sleeping for 20 hours a day.
Yeah, you're not going to burn yourself out.
Yeah.
So what does Keely Roberts do on a daily basis? Like that's, a must do every day to keep, nice, clear, strong mind so you can focus with your work, training and, your business.
So I love seeing the sun. I don't know what it is about the sun, but like a sunrise or a sunset. Yeah. I've been trying to wake up at 5 o'clock these days, so getting back in the 5 a.m. club. Retired from that for a bit after the swimming days because I was sick of it. But
like, I'm done with this for a bit.
Done with it for a bit, but I just really am starting to enjoy getting up at that time now. So if I can see the sun rise, for me that's just like something that's really peaceful for me and really grounding. I think that's important. So anything basically to do with nature. Like I love going to the beach as well. So if I can get to the beach at the end of a day, no matter how busy or crappy the day was, that you always feel better. Yeah, wash it off. I think that's probably a good one, is do something that you can shake off the day, or if not the day, if you have a bad morning, shake off the morning. Like have something that just resets you, because that's really helpful to know as well when you're competing, or if you have an exam or something where you have to perform. If you're not feeling your best, if you have your little shake up thing, you can go and do that just really quickly, then you're going to feel a lot more prepared.
Yeah, it's going to change your day, hey?
Definitely, yeah.
So sunrise and nature, 2 amazing things. I think I've never seen a bad sunrise, have you?
Nope.
Ever. Or
Ever.
A sunset for that matter.
No.
So nature is always our best friend. We become so disconnected with nature because we've got technology and houses and walls and everything. It keeps us very domesticated, but nature is our best friend, and that's where we're meant to be. So anytime we connect with that is a massive bonus. Stepping away from kids for a second, what about parents? Like how would, some advice for parents with kids who are, for one, maybe not so sporty, and you're trying to encourage them to get involved with sport, and then we'll talk about maybe when they have an athlete and encourage them down that track. So we'll start with the maybe not so sporty kids, and they just want to get help towards that.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing is your kids look up to you. So if you're modelling and showing them that, hey, this is really fun, like I feel really good when I play this, or when I move my body, when I challenge myself. If you can show your kids that, especially if you're finding it hard for them to engage with the sport or to be physically active, because that's a really big problem. It's like 80% of kids aren't physically active, which is just
scary.
Crazy. Crazy. I can't even think of that.
Yeah,
so like if you can show that, and I know obviously parents are time poor, And they're probably watching this going, oh, when am I supposed to do that? But at the same, probably not, because people that follow you are probably legends. But
I'm sure they're all legends. I know that.
That's it. So, but yeah, it's just about modelling it and making it fun. So, you know, your kids really do look up to you. You're their primary person, mentor. So if you're enjoying it, pushing yourself, challenging yourself, messing around, being silly, that's going to make a big difference for them. I think that's, I don't know if you agree, but I think that's a big
100%. Like with all our programs, we really encourage parents to, especially if it's a kid's first time at our program, get in there as much as you can, because they're going to feel so much more comfortable, having you by their side, and you can just, coax them in and gently introduce them to the bit of activity. Then all of a sudden you step back and the kid forgets that you're even there, and they're having a ball. So you being there and showing them that, you're going to play as well, and they just instantly feel more comfortable. I think that encouragement is huge, and I love having the parents, in all the programs that we do, even with the older kids, having the parents there working out with the kids is awesome. And we had 2 parents out of the 12 kids at our boot camp just recently, and the parents that were there, made a massive difference to their kids, having them there and seeing, oh, look at Dad go, and then the other kids wow, look at Mum go, she's pushing hard and smashing the workouts, and you can just see that interaction between the family. It was just really cool. So I think parents getting involved is a massive thing. So
definitely. And it's fun. I still go for a ride with my dad. It's the
we
best.
forget how to have fun as we get older too. I think some people get a bit worried about what people might think, and I think we always just have to let our inner child out and take ourselves back down to that level of what would my kid like to see if I was in their shoes looking up at Dad. I'd want my dad to come out and play, or my mum to come out and play. I think that's a huge thing. So
for sure. And I think as well, what we do isn't just for kids. It's for adults as well. We have to work on that daily. We're not kids, maybe at heart, but
100%.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting to grow up. I'm Peter Pan for sure.
So it's just so important. All the benefits that you can get from just moving your body. And
I started this business purely so I can just do the things that I wanted to really do.
That's the best way to be, definitely. Yeah,
for sure. And so what about parents with kids who are doing really well at sport? They are becoming, quite good at their sport and want to pursue that path. What sort of, strategies could the parents use, going down that track?
Definitely. This is one that I come across a lot, because obviously that's kind of the next level that I work with. So I noticed that a lot of parents will think, okay, my kid's really good at this sport, or they're starting to show some real talent here and they're getting some results, and other people are starting to say, oh, little Johnny, he's going really well this year, what have you been doing? And you see it, and it's almost as a parent you have this innate desire. You want your kid to do well, and you want them to do the best that they can do. So sometimes that might come across as you're really pushing them to train, or get really good results, and the emphasis is on that. But I would probably say, rather than put so much emphasis on the results or the outcome that you want your child to get, put them on the characteristics that they're building. I call them champion characteristics. So there's those things, those building blocks that you need, or those performance traits that you need to be able to get that outcome. That's what I'd be putting the emphasis on, because that's where your child is going to stay in the game, and that's what we want. We don't want, again, it's another stat, but over 70% of athletes, school-aged athletes, so those that are representing at a bit higher level, drop out after school. So that's talented kids. I raced against some awesome athletes that were number 1 in the world, and they don't do it anymore. And they were really good. And the ones that were coming down later in the results are still doing it. So there's something that's kind of alarming there, and I think it does start with where the focus is on.
Yeah, that's right. And you wonder what sort of influence that was in their lives that made them want to quit. Even if they are the best in the world, it's they might be getting so many external pressures from coaches or parents or whatever it may be, that sucks the fun out of what they were actually doing. So
definitely.
Whereas the kid that was coming 15th was getting all these cameras, you're doing awesome, keep it up. I think that's, really cool to see, the big difference between number 1 and 15. There's always a shift from how they are mentally. So
definitely, I think pressure's a big one. When you start getting results, the pressure is there to keep getting them, and it shifts from your effort and your attitude and your commitment and your discipline and your training and like how well you just keep showing up, because that's the emphasis when you're not winning, because people don't really know what to focus on. So they're like, oh, but you really put in so much effort, and that's so rewarding to hear that as a kid. And then as soon as you start to get the results from that effort, that pressure comes and the focus shifts, and it comes from, lots of different people, and it gets a lot for a kid to handle. So
it's a lot to process, especially if, like you were saying before, if they're not actually in tune or aware of how they actually feel, and it's just all external, then it's even tougher for them, because they're just trying to go off what everyone else is saying, instead of just stopping and listening to what their body's telling them. So
100%. I think it's not to say, I'm not saying you shouldn't aim to be number 1 or you shouldn't aim to get the outcome. It's just not where the focus should be. And if you can support your kids in checking in with themselves and actually listening to their body, because that's another thing with athletes, is they are so good at ignoring like natural body cues. Like we have this, everyone has like a feedback cycle or mechanism inside of them, but athletes are really good at like breaking that feedback cycle, because we're so used to pushing through pain and keep on going, and your coach is saying do faster and you're like, oh, I'm so dead. Or you go training when you really just want to rest. So if parents can support their kids in just saying, hey, what do you need today, let's check in. If you need a rest, awesome, otherwise let's go.
Encourage them when it's needed, and push them when you can see that there's room there to be pushed, but always take that time to check in. I think that's so important. So a good relationship with your kids is going to go a long way, instead of just being the parent on the sideline yelling and screaming. That's not going to do probably any favours.
No,
so I love that encouragement side of things. So that was awesome. Last time you talked about the 5 pillars that you use. Love to hear about those. That was awesome.
Sure thing. So the 5 pillars of holistic health, or my approach to performing and training, is your physical health or your physical self. So your nutrition, your sleep, water, exercise, movement, stretching, looking after your physical body. And then emotional health is number 2. So that's more your emotions, checking in with how you're feeling, being able to move through feelings as well. I think sometimes when we think we feel nerves, it can then turn into fear of, oh my gosh, I'm not ready, or oh my gosh, what if I fail? Where nerves are actually a really good thing. So it's about understanding what each of those feelings are, and if it is an uncomfortable feeling, going, that's okay, it's just a feeling, like I can move through this, and figuring out how to do that. So emotional self, and then we have our mental self, so developing our brain capacity, our problem solving skills, decision making, all of those sorts of things. Really important for sport, but also obviously life as well.
Can I ask what you do when it comes to that side of things? Like what are some cool little tools that you use?
Little strategies. So I guess puzzles are a really big one. So that brings in a fun element as well. So if I were to work with an athlete and we were thinking about those little transitions or things that they really enjoyed doing, I would try to find something that would be like a mental challenge for them. But another one to develop your mental self is failing. So go, and if you want to, try wakeboarding, go and do it. It's really hard. I sucked at it.
Still not good at the 2 feet in it.
So
skating, how's that going?
Well, skating not good, but just go and try things. I always joke about this time when I cried at 10-pin bowling, because I sucked real bad at it, and I'd never really sucked at anything.
It's the first time I've sucked.
It's the first time I've sucked. That's
Why did only 8 pins fall?
Yeah, literally. No, I was getting gutterballs the entire time. I think I did that bad, honestly. So I remember crying, and I was thinking, this is so silly. I'm getting upset about, I'm not a professional 10-pin bowler, and I'm so upset, but it's like, I guess, having as many experiences that you can to fail, because that's really going to help create new pathways in your brain, and it's just experience. So at the end of the day, the more experiences you have, the more you have to be able to draw back on.
Yeah.
And getting out of that comfort zone as well is really important.
Nice. Another one I learned just the other day, I've just started at Exalto Holistic Health Club down there. They like to juggle a lot.
Cool,
and one of the things with juggling is obviously the constant failure. Like, you just non-stop failing. Like you never really actually succeed, but you just keep trying and trying and trying. You do slowly progress, which is really cool. But
at some point you fail, though.
At some point you fail. That'd be another good little
that's a good one.
2 years, yeah.
I like that. I've done one before with kids when I was teaching, and you do like a partner and you've got to like alternate the catches, and that's really good at mental warm-up before a game or a performance, like switching your brain on. And another really fun one is like you can play look down, look up. So if you have a group of kids, you like look down and then look up, and then you can't be looking at the same person or you get out. And it's just little fun things that I guess help you to really switch on, but also take away that those nerves or whatever the uncomfortable feeling is.
That's really good. Yeah. So that was pillar number 3. We've got 2 more.
Yeah. So social health is number 4. So that's your relationships. But I also like to add a little element to social health, and that's the relationship with yourself. So this is where our self-love comes in, and self-leadership and self-awareness. And I guess there's a saying that you are a byproduct of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I don't think byproduct's the right word, but we'll go with it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I have heard that one before. So.
Yeah, so it's about, I guess when you're talking about, your friends, and if you're feeling a bit iffy or they're not really doing stuff that you really think is cool or like, then just you don't have to say anything. Go find someone else, or make up a reason, and when you get into a sport, you'll probably find that you find people that are like-minded to you, but it's really important to have that support crew around you. And obviously when you're little, it's your family and a few of your little mates, but as you get older, like lots of different people come into your life, and having people as well that are mentors to you, that you can look up to and can learn from their hindsight, I think is important.
Nice. Have you ever had mentors?
Yeah, so I had some mentors when I started business, and I've obviously had mentors when I was an athlete as well. So most times they're your coach, but sometimes they're older athletes or might be a teacher. But I think it's important that you can have someone that you can go to and say, hey, like, this is happening, I'm finding this challenging. And that mentor, that person that you're going to, usually has already climbed that mountain. They're just climbing a different mountain right now, and they can see what's happening on yours, and they're like, oh, this is how you climb up it, because they've already done it. So
follow the path.
Yeah, it's important to have those people.
What do they say? Success leaves clues.
So,
if someone's done it before you, ask the questions.
100%. Ask for help. It's not actually, asking for help doesn't make you failure or less than or not capable. It's actually what makes you really successful.
I think I wish I did that a lot more when I was younger, because sometimes you're afraid to ask, because you're like, it could be embarrassing, you don't want to put your hand up and ask a silly question, but I think it's better to ask, because otherwise the answer's always no. So.
And again, it just helps create all those new experiences for you, and then you have the answer, and then you might be able to help someone else in your own little way. So
definitely. So with sport, we're going to really encourage kids to play sport, just purely because it creates so many opportunities with making friends. You're going to develop skills, your muscles are going to grow better, your bones are going to be good for your brain. Like, there's so many positives to sport. So I think any parents out there, if you want to get kids involved with sport, 100%, just try your best to encourage them, even if it is just active play and getting kids outside. But then if they are getting a bit more serious, talk to Keely, because she can guide them into a beautiful self-love journey of sport, rather than full-on pressure. And she can have a really well-rounded athlete who's going to probably stay in the game a lot longer and not be part of the 70%. So
future success.
Yeah, future success. I'll get Keely just to just say a little bit about your actual business and how you actually work, and then that way people can get a really good understanding of of what you do.
Sounds
and then
good.
We'll wrap it up.
Well, we did forget the final pillar.
Oh yes, I wasn't sure.
Which
You
is,
were like,
but I'll bring it in.
yeah, bring that final pillar in first.
It's spiritual health, which I know is
yes.
really important to you.
Definitely.
And it doesn't mean you have to be religious, but it is really about connecting to your outer world, but also to your purpose and finding those things that really light you up and I guess those things I was talking about before, those shake up things that, just reset you and make you feel like the most you. I think that's really key. So that's a big part of it as well. But basically I'm a high performance and mindset coach for athletes who are looking to excel to the next level, but also building on sustainable performances, because the last thing we want is people to overcome to pressure or perfectionism or burnout, because it's just not a fun time.
Yeah, definitely, as you know.
Yeah, as I know.
No
So
one wants to be lying down for 20 hours a day.
Definitely not. There's too much good stuff to be doing. So that's what I do. And through that, we run programs at the Holistic Athlete Academy.
Yeah, follow her on Instagram, guys. She's amazing, very inspiring, always has amazing posts and stories that pretty much get you out of bed and get you moving every single day. So
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Keely. It was awesome chatting with you, and
Thank
so
you.
many key takeaways there. I can't even remember them all. It's so good, but I'll watch it back and share those with you guys. So thanks so much. You're
Awesome.
an absolutely amazing human, and keep doing what you're doing, because you're gonna help a lot of athletes in the future. So
Thank you.
nice work.
Thanks, Chris.
No
Likewise.
Well done, guys. That was Grom Chats with Keely Roberts. All right.
Thank you.
Nice work.